political parties as far as this election is concerned?
You see, stakeholders, the stakeholders are in one place, and the political parties are another important stakeholder.
They are stakeholders.
Yes, as another important
key stakeholders too.
Are in a particular standing on their own. They have their own particular standing. You see, other stakeholders, we applaud them, but politicians are who they are, and they will continue being who they are. That is why, if you look at we have to applaud all the stakeholders. Like, look at the Nigerian police. Things are becoming, in this election, you can hardly hear reports or a very big report of any police compromising. It can be, you can have pockets of it here and there. And the security agents are also an important stakeholder in the election. But they did well in this election by maintaining neutrality to great extent compared to what we used to have in the past. In fact, you have situations whereby CPs are changed 2 days to election. No matter how you want to familiar with that person, you cannot reach that familiarity in 2 days. So that is their own way of also queuing into the new system of our electionary system and making it more better and better. Now, but the politicians, for instance, the politicians are the ones giving us this tough time. On that day, with all due respect, the PDP knew they have lost that election, but they still have to ask their agent to come to the collation center and try to disrupt things, because as at that time when Senator Melaye came to that place and was raising unnecessary objections, by that time report of their situation room report have entered of almost 6 states, and they knew that at that point they are not going to win that election. Politicians should help us. As other stakeholders are working together to make sure the system move forward, politicians should stop dragging us backward. That is why you have these pockets, you have places where they have just 20 local governments, and then their election is taking more than 72 hours, more than 4 or 5 days, because somebody will want to stand on one EO and ask him to doctor a particular result. So politicians are the one giving. If politicians will, to some great extent, and honor and integrity and assist the system, you realize that some of these problems will just die off naturally. But politicians, as one of the great stakeholders, are not really. They are getting into that system. They all know that now you just have to canvass for votes. It's a step further compared to what we normally have in the past. Politicians now know that whether you buy it, whether you allegedly buy it, or whether you buy it on credit or you buy it and pay later. You shall have to buy it. It is a step forward from what we have in 2011, where you don't have anything to do with the electorate. All you have to do is to buy the official security agents, and they give you ballot papers and then the right report. But now we move further from that place. They now know that the vote of those people counts, and they have to find a way to make them vote. So the politicians, as a great stakeholder, are not really into the process. This process seems new to them, seems strange to them, and then they are just forcing themselves to survive in this new terrain of refined electoral system and all that. But we have to give kudos to them too. We have pockets of places where we have people declaring results under duress. Politicians will tell them that if you don't declare this result, so things will happen to you and your family. In that instance, INEC should be bold enough to change that electoral officer and provide security in excess. Like he said, INEC on the day when Mahmoud Yakub was standing on his feet and saying, no, we are not going to be uploading results directly to the server. Many Nigerians did not know, as at that day, that there were several attempts. Yes, many Nigerians did not know that information. But like Mr. Aguilar said, he knew that information as at that time. He is aware that if they should try that, it will disrupt the whole process. So we should be giving them benefit of doubt. As they are taking decisions, we should be, keen with them, and then and the issue of electoral offenses, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Before we go to the last topic, I want to look at. I want to quote Yaga now. Yaga Africa condemns in unequivocal terms acts of voter suppression, fueled by ethnic profiling, political thuggery, and desperation. That word, desperation to secure electoral victory at all cost.
INEC, I'm sorry, but INEC did not start ethnic profiling. You cannot blame INEC for that. INEC cannot be blamed for vote buying. INEC has been preaching against it and even advising against
Perhaps it's referring to the politicians or political parties who want to win the election.
Exactly, by all means. And even we were talking about stakeholders earlier on. One party right now has started a petition and sending it all over the place, and I received it asking me to sign a petition for the election result to be reviewed. Now, I just responded to it. I say election results are not reviewed by petitions. Aggrieved persons have tribunals to go to. But this is what parties and stakeholders are doing. Rather than follow the law or follow the laid down path to seek redress, they are now trying to get the emotion of the people. And by sending me that thing, I will not, if I read the petition or when I read it, if I sign it or not, it's a personal decision. But I just said election results are not revised or reviewed by petition. If you are aggrieved, go to the tribunal, and you only have a few more days left to file your whatever. But this is what the parties are doing. The losing parties or the failing candidates are engaging in all these things. So when you talk about ethnic profiling, who started it? INEC did not start it. INEC did not encourage it. INEC did not promote it in any kind of way. So how can you now put that on the board of INEC and say it's INEC? I have to stand for INEC in this case.
No, I'm not sure they were blaming INEC. You were talking about the report was referring to politicians who did that, who talk about ethnic profiling to suppress voters. I know that they were trying to refer to Lagos. There is no doubt about it.
Of course, it's Lagos.
To refer to Lagos. But well, like this is not. I want to commend politicians. Whichever way you see it, if you blame politicians, I will commend politicians. I am not a partisan when I don't have a card of any member, and that does not rule out the possibility that I will be one anyway. The truth of the matter is that the politicians are the one involved. Any reform and changes you see in the democratization process of Nigeria, the politicians are the critical stakeholder.
Yes.
Before, my brother referred to when, in fact, we had the period in this time that police were involved in hijacking of ballot paper.
Manipulating results.
Yes. And in election presidential tribunals were replete of joining police and army as parties in cases. But it got to a stage that the reform was made that, look, you can't bring in police and army as part of the problem. And today, we are just, in the last election, you see police were they stayed off the whole process. You will not, nobody will allege any policeman or any military man anywhere that was involved in all of this. That is an advancement. Every advancement you have seen in this democratization, in this democracy, in this electoral process of Nigeria, is the politician. It's the politician that makes the law. They are in the National Assembly. They are the one who say, let us have beavers. They could have said, no, we'll continue with our incident form and form his thing. But they said, no, let us have a beavers to show this and show that. And you know that what I actually detest is hypocrisy. Some of the people blame politicians who shout, who scream to high heavens, circumvent the process. The worst of infraction on law in Nigeria is done in business. How many contractors follow Nigerian law? They circumvent process, do not pay tax. They do a lot of things to get contract, and the same people will stay on television and start to blame and shout at politicians. There's the profiling they talk about in Lagos. I know it's sad, but you see this is a human problem that it is not going to stop by this kind of noise. Everywhere and anywhere, human being by our nature, we seem to identify with people who speak our dialect, speak our language, and by nature, we are also territorial. Even in this our Oshu state, okay, let me tell you of a story. Somebody told me a story sometimes ago in the town in Oshu state. Somebody wanted to vie for a political office, but for a long time he has not been part of everything going on in that community. So he now came to seek to identify with them. They told him story, now say, Adala no kore. Àwọn ará lè rè jájà náà. Ó kọ tí wọ́n jẹ́ lè wà ìwọ̀n ní. Sọ ma pé wọ́n fi ọ̀bá rẹ̀ sọ́fà láyé kíní kan. They told him story and the guy didn't come back again. That is even part of the community. So these are not issue. The only providing they are talking about, it will go down. When the election is back, the business people will continue. Nigeria will continue, but it's just to grab power.
Shall we go to the other topic? Shall we go to the other topic? Usman, I'm coming to you. we are overwhelmed by security threats. That's a credit to INEC, and of course, the Commissioner for Voter Education and Information, Festus Okoye, despite that the level of security, the police, the civil defense, and all that, and
yes, you see, the security threat that INEC is talking about is not the physical security that you have on the day of election. It is the security system that has the security threat that INEC has been exposed to in the pre-electioneering process, the time of conducting continuous voter register and all other activities. And before, in the last 6 months before we had the February 25th general election, 6 months to that time, we've had cases of INEC offices being burnt, electoral materials being destroyed all over the country, especially in the southern part, southeast and south part of the country. We just have to find a way around it and look for. And I have always been an advocate of us moving INEC from sub-digital or entity to a totally digital entity. I mean, INEC should stop operating all these everything that concerns INEC should be stored in a central, electronic place, so that when some of these offices got burnt, we will not be losing properties that we've used millions of naira to say. And then INEC has been exposed for a long time to some of these threats, and nobody is being questioned or being prosecuted. Nobody is even being arrested for committing some of these offenses. In the southeast, I don't know, but maybe I've missed those information on news. But up till now, I've not seen anybody being prosecuted for attacking INEC facilities in most parts of the country. So if INEC is being exposed in that way, and we are not seeing those offenses as grievous and very sensitive or offense that we must tackle, and then all those involved are made to face the full wrath of the law, I think we are not doing justice to INEC, and we are not complementing the effort of INEC to consolidate on this democracy. So INEC is being exposed to threats, and for now, as at now, we don't have any tangible solution to that, and that is very, very unfortunate.
I want to. According to Professor Okoye, he is really specific now. He is the chairman on information and voters education, and was saying open intimidation in Obingwa local government in Abia State, where talks were challenging results.
So he's saying
even before
this part of the security threat faced by INEC. Well, that is to be expected when people are not satisfied with whatever the results may come out, or when INEC result comes out in their favor, they praise INEC. When the result doesn't favor them, they criticize INEC. So, but the security threats to INEC, property, facility, personnel, and all of that is the work of the security agencies.
Even we are ad hoc staff abducted.
Exactly. No government staff, no person working for or doing anything for the government should be intimidated in any kind of way. If you as much as touch the shirt of an electoral person in the United States, a person who is sitting down there doing his civic duty or assigned work, if you as much as touch his shirt, even pull his shirt like that, immediately the security agencies will be at your neck. You cannot do that. But it's only in Nigeria that you see a man grabbing the uniform of a police officer. And I do tell people, I said, did you know that uniform is backed by the entire constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is backed by all the security forces of Nigeria, that one uniform that you grab. So you can't just do that and get away with it in a civilized country. But it's only in Nigeria that somebody will say, oh, that boy is my son, or I sent him on an errand. You see, it's only in Nigeria that you can see the big shots trying to get away with criminality. And what is that called? The security threat to INEC should be a federal crime. It should be a federal crime. It's a federal offense. And whoever is arrested or accused of doing that and convicted of doing that must be subjected to serious penalties by the law. But you don't see that in Nigeria, like was said earlier on. Well, you see somebody arrested, and how many arrested?
And godfathers will start making calls.
And then where do you hear them taken to court, and what is the final ruling on their offense? You never hear that, and only because people say they will get away with it, that's why they keep doing it. When I read on election day that boxes, what's that called, ballot boxes were taken in some areas, and I said, where were the police? And I wrote on one of the platforms, I said, what about the threat and the warning that have been given before election, where the police and the army say, if you love your life, or if you want to see your God, mess with a ballot box. But then people are messing with ballot boxes, and we don't see anything the army, the police do. Did they arrest them? Were the people who messed with the ballot boxes on election day, were they arrested? If they were arrested, where are they? By now, have they been taken to court, or are they in prison, or whatever? But you don't see the sanctions against these criminalities, and that is why people keep on doing it. Like I said, I was standing somewhere on election day, and a long motorcycle of boys.
Election day?
Yeah, on election day, and they rode through the area, and then the police just stood aside, and I saw a police car there, army car there, army vehicle somewhere there, but nobody went after them to say you cannot do that, you are intimidating voters. So I did see that, I witnessed that myself. If Jaeger was more specific and that specific, I can say yes, I witnessed one or two of it.
I want to quote Festo Okoye. I'm quoting him now. Actors whom the commission has no control over succeeded in disrupting the electoral process. End of quote. You see, kind of calling to question integrity of security agencies.
It's not integrity of. He has said that actors that the commission has no power, has no control over. The commission has no control over any of the actors. So the statement itself can be critiqued. Either small actor or big actor. The commission does not have control over any. For example, if you issue ballot paper to me and I decide to destroy it, the commission does not have power of arrest to arrest me for doing that.
But first security agencies.
Security, only security agencies can do that. But now, if he said that, is there strong forces? The security forces you have said to, you see, all these things that have been said are just on the surface. And Mr. Festus Okoye knew and knows who he was referring to. And all of us know. Most time we talk in parable, we are hypocrites. We know that the big people who are interested in the outcome of the election are the actors that Festus Okoye was referring to. And if the law would be functional, of course, those people who are saying they didn't do those things under the cover of dark. They did it in broad daylight. So the only thing to be done is to be arrested. But if you are arrested, let me give you this analogy. Today on the Nigerian road, the road safety stop buses, and we all know they will collect something from the bus and let the bus go. The police will also stop the police checkpoint. But now look at this scenario this way. Out of 100 cars and vehicles on Nigerian road, how many of them have correct driving papers? So if police or road safety has to be arresting all of them and impounding their vehicals, how many vehicles do you think you are going to? In fact, you are going to have a congested police station and FRS office that you are going to. So you now have a crisis in our hand that it appears that a lot of people, that the police and the security agencies are also helpless because the man who is behind the enforcement of the law is the one who also in charge of those non-state actors that are disrupting the process. So you just tell them they are our boys now, leave them. And that is why that's exactly what's going to answer the next question that we'll discuss, the question of the Electoral Offences Commission. These things are just mere waste of time and money. We have enough law to take care of all of these things.
Yes.
What Mr. Festus Okoye have said, the collection center, all collection centers are policed. And police with army and police and all security, and yet you can still have a man who is so bold enough to intimidate electoral officers right there, not even on phone, right there. Say, Mr. This you cannot do, and everybody appear helpless. Nobody is stronger or more powerful than the state. So when you see things like this going on, is the state actor. You see, when you see, I've seen it over time, and I stand to be challenged. When you see during any political contest, when you see brigandage of high momentity, it is the power, it's the government, it's the party in government that's responsible.
Exactly.
The party that is outside government does not have capacity for violence. They know that when you do, they will take care of you. So they are always, but it is the party in government that try to use non-state actors to intimidate, because they can't get the police to do certain things they want. So they empower their party member and their party machinery to intimidate the opponent who they supposedly assume is popular. So when you see it happening, so in this kind of case, it's not the man who is contested, who's not in power, does not
go
want
to the next topic. I want you to react to this, and I want to quote Festo Okoye now. He said the commission is prepared, quote, to protect the integrity of the vote and consolidate the progress made so far in the electoral process. End of quote.
I think Festus Okoye is not being truthful in entirety. Why I say that is that, you see, when you talk of threat to the electoral officers, let me give you an instance. Electoral officer that has been compromised in the process of doing his job, a returning officer that people in that place or in that unit or in that ward or local government knew that he has been heavily compromised. That electoral officer should be aware that he has exposed him or herself to threats, to security threat and intimidation and harassment. So INEC on its own, but like now we are concluding the phase of our election, INEC on its own should be good enough to publicize the names of its own employees,
staff,
both ad hoc and permanent staff, those who have gone against the tenets of their job, and they should be prosecuted.
No,
that is how
we saw the rec, Sokoto rec and Abia rec suspended.
Yeah, it is not enough. Suspension is not enough. That is just a few out of. I have cases of recs who became compromised, and people, the other party that have understood that she has been compromised, stood on her neck and said, you are not going to leave this local government alive. And so if that person eventually leave that local government alive, INEC should be...
Unbundling INEC is going to resonate. And that clamor, let's have a electoral affairs commission.
And then what is wrong with INEC?
At this time,
yes,
from the legal mind. What
does the law say INEC should prosecute those caught at electoral
what perhaps what they are saying is that INEC is too burdened with
it's not these things we know. This thing we just make theory and talk and like theory. At every polling unit on election day, you have the policeman, you have a policeman, you have other security agents, military. Even at that, the law also empowered individual to arrest. Individual has power of arrest. And how many of those people have been arrested? Now, if you are arrested by the provision of the Constitution is the supreme law, is the grand norm. Section 174 and 211 empowers the Attorney General to prosecute. But that power, of course, can also be delegated to the police, as established in the case of Olushemo versus IC Commissioner of Police. Now, if you have that the AG is the one who has prosecutorial power and the police, although we have private prosecution too, individual citizen can prosecute the Uniform versus Akilu has established that as well. But in this case now, how many electoral offenders have even taken to court first? If we have taken to court now, we say, oh, INEC is too overwhelmed. Though. We have brought 2,000 before the court. INEC can really do. For me, the major function INEC has in this is to provide evidences.
That's it.
If there are, most of the things we experience during our election, most of the infractions are infractions relating to criminal offenses that are in the criminal code, that are not even asked to do all the electoral offenses provided in the Electoral Act. Corruption at the electoral place, bribery, intimidation, all of them are in the criminal code. That you don't need any special commission to do. After all, we do not have a special court to try electoral petition electoral tribunal for each of the states, so that to bring fairness in the interest of fairness. And the law has provided that within 6 months, within those also, these cases should have been disposed of. And that has been happening since 1999. And Nigerians have been satisfied, even when we are not satisfied. We are bound by the decision of the court. We saw even in Bayelsa that the party did not win, but we say the deputy has an issue, and you have the party has to go. Everybody abide by the decision of the court. Yeah. If we do that, the problem is this: it is only what matters to the ruling class that has result, that has judicial result or prosecutorial results. If the ruling class is not really interested in prosecuting who has you with electoral infractions, because they are our boys. But they have you with who win the seat. You take it for me, I will challenge you in court. That's all. But if the question of the infraction is also fundamental and critical to the outcome of the process, you will see that a serious matter would have arisen in court. People would have been tried, would have been convicted or acquitted. But for me, Nigeria will keep on. Now we had a committee, or also a report that said, let us harmonize all our the agencies of government to reduce waste, and you are still advocating the creation of another commission to track electoral offences. No, it's not. For me, it's waste of time. You are going to have that commission established in every state. You will staff it, you will bring this, you will do this. No, the courts already empower the court. Amend the law to say that election offences should be tried within 6 months. You will see results.
How do I do your reaction before we?
Well, I'm just saying that why create another agency? When you're, like my brother said, and he's a learned person, there are laws already in place in the law books. They're all there, and the Nigerian constitution is there, and the criminal codes and everything is already there. So why create another one? I think it's just a way for lawyers. Of course, everyone must protect his own piece of bread. Lawyers, it's a way for lawyers to create something, and then the federal government to dump money into it, and then lawyers will earn money from it. So that's the way I see it. I don't see any need for any electoral offenses. Like I said earlier on, people who have been arrested for ballot snatching in the past, what have become of them? What is the outcome? And what INEC needs to do, or the Attorney General, whoever is in charge, needs to do is to those REC, Residence Electoral Commissioners in Abia and Sokoto, those 2 states who have been suspended, they need to investigate their action and then publicize their behavior. Let the whole country know what these two did to merit the sanction, and then maybe the next REC will have a second thought before they collect money from a politician.
Usman, your last take on that topic.
We don't need any commission. It is just another waste of scarce resources.
Yeah.
We just need to, like they all said, we just need to, tighten up our judicial system, whereby the police can prosecute, and then
you can also prosecute.
Well, we can also prosecute. Once we have some of these people, let the police prosecute them, or the what do you call the public prosecution in the Ministry of Justice and all that. Let them take care of it. But because, like Akiola said, because these people that are being arrested or that will be arrested are boys to politicians. Politicians will not even let them sleep that night in the custody of the law. So that is to show you that we need to find a way, but gradually we are going to get there. Soon we are going to get to a place whereby, if you commit, like he said, once the ruling class knows that they will be affected directly or indirectly by the arrest of some of these political thugs and political machineries that they use to disrupt the electoral process, they will seize and have everything. For instance, if you know that if some of your boys are caught and they confess and your name come out of it, there is a sanction, maybe 10-20 years ban on politics and vying for official, elective post. You have to sit back and think and say, okay, if I commit this and these people have got arrested and all that, it is going to bounce back on me. But we have a situation whereby even if those boys are prosecuted or they are jailed, maybe 3 months, 6 months, at the end of the day, the politician will still bring them into the system and be feeding them fat. So we don't need another commission, because in Nigeria we like big names, big nomenclature. We have so many of them that are not functioning. So why do we have to add more? Let us just reinforce. We should have. Let us stop